been a mad week. You know, it was only on Monday that we did Online Safety Day on this radio station and dedicated almost all of our programming to a single subject, various different angles on that single subject. But there it is. The idea that it just feels to me like it was weeks ago. I guess that's partly because of the broader news agenda. But one thing it brought home to me is the danger of thinking that because a challenge is so huge, there's no point undertaking it at all. There are two elements to this, two elements I took away from Monday's programs, not just mine, but other people's as well. The first is that they are, or we are, going to have to bring the social media operators into line. And that's a terrifying political prospect because they are so powerful. And the arrival of Donald Trump in the White House has bolstered their power to, I would argue, sort of medieval feudalist type levels. Not just Musk, who is the most obvious beneficiary of Donald Trump's presidency so far, but all of the others as well. They were all there, except, I guess, Bill Gates, actually. Was the guy from Apple there? Was Tim Cook there? I can't remember. But the rest of them are just queuing up to do his bidding and, of course, to guide his hand. And the area about which I think, and forgive me, I don't know this, but I think the area of which they are most terrified is online regulation. Not so much the Amazon guy, I don't imagine, but certainly the owners of social media platforms, so Zuckerberg and Musk, are absolutely terrified of being held responsible for what happens on their social media platforms. It's mad, really, that we've even allowed this confusion to take root, the idea that I'm not a publisher, I'm just a platform. If you come on this show and say something libelous, we get sued. If you come on this show and break Ofcom rules, I get into trouble. The ruling doesn't go up saying John in Ongar or Doris in Shepherd's Bush or Bert in Doncaster have fallen foul of an Ofcom ruling. The report comes out saying James O'Brien's show has fallen foul of an Ofcom ruling, and Daily Mail will be all over it like a cheap suit. So the idea that you can go on Facebook and encourage people to set fire to a hotel full of refugees, or you can go on Twitter and libel people or publish fake videos of things that have never happened, but the technology is such now that you won't be able to tell. And the truth, of course, has not even got its trousers on before the lie is halfway around the world. Tim Cook was there, I think. So yeah, it's probably just Bill Gates then, really. So this is the thing that makes, for me, half of the issue. It's going to have to happen. We cannot go on like this. Whether it can happen when Donald Trump is in the White House, whether the United Kingdom can do it without being part of the European Union, whether or not the political will is yet big enough. I think it is. Mine is. It wasn't until Monday. It was one of those magical moments of radio where even as the presenter, my mind changed. And I was already on the right side of history when it comes to this sort of stuff. Absolutely clear since the Farage riots in the summer that these platform owners should not be able to get away with hosting a site upon which a content can be posted by someone who ends up in jail, but the bloke who owns the platform waltzes off scot-free. It cannot go on like this because, you know, what's next? Where does it end? So the necessity of online regulation, and you can see that they're lying about it because they keep talking about free speech, claiming that it's somehow under threat in this country. They are marshalling, and you know I'm a great believer in the contempt for the con men, compassion for the con, but sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. They are marshalling the forces of people, the very online right, who already believe all sorts of nonsense about everything from vaccines through to great replacement theory, which Elon Musk has been buying into this week. They are marshalling the radicalized online right, the excessively online far right, to resist attempts to properly regulate these platforms. They want to be free to continue to tell their racist lies. They want to be free to continue to post fake footage, deep fake footage, portraying the people they don't like in horrific circumstances, some of them pornographic. They want to be free to lie. And what people like Musk and Vance are doing is arguing furiously that an attempt to stop people lying or inciting violence or committing crimes online, I'll say that again, an attempt to stop people committing crimes online is somehow an infringement of freedom of speech. So if, like me, you wonder what on earth Farage is wanging on about when he stands up at a conference where Elon Musk has just finished giving Nazi salutes, if you wonder what on earth he's wanging on about when he says he can't say things in this country without getting arrested, and then, of course, within the same breath, he's referring a colleague to the police for saying things, for hurty words, that's what they're doing. They're doing the bidding of these people. They are currying favour with Elon Musk and, to a lesser extent, Donald Trump, because I don't think he cares one way or the other. He's just going to be acting out of narcissistic self-interest. If it's not the devices, it's the platforms. You're supposed to be 13 even to sign up, but 70%, more than 70% of primary teachers said they were aware of younger pupils using the platform. More than 70%. And then you've got the absolutely furious resistance of the tech billionaires to inject or to profit from the injection of this poison into our children's lives and our children's minds. It is the Association of School and College Leaders annual conference today, and their president will say, this chaos must end. For too long, tech billionaires have been given immense power without accountability. They hide behind the defence that they are champions of free speech while profiting from platforms that allow harm to fester. Manny Botwe, I salute you. I absolutely salute you. Thank you for saying that. It has sometimes, particularly in the arena of pointing out the evil of pretending that the free speech element of this conversation is authentic. It's been a lonely old place. Somebody to put himself, head teacher of a state secondary school in Macclesfield, to put himself to front and centre, pointing out what is evident to anybody honest, that these billionaires are lying about free speech. They've got the White House in their pocket now, and they're doing it to prevent themselves from having to pay to protect our children from filth and poison online. That's it. It's that simple. You think they can't afford it? You think Mark Zuckerberg can't afford to have the biggest fact-checking and moderation program in the history of humanity on board at Meta, at Facebook? You think Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, can't afford to actually have people in place who will make sure that if there's an incitement to racist violence, it disappears in a heartbeat and the person that posted it can never get on that platform again? You think he can't afford it? Do me a favour. Of course they can. It's a combination of greed and callousness that creates the environment in which our children are essentially exposed to all manner of things that most parents don't even know about. That's nice. I do sometimes get the sense that the show is reaching parts it didn't reach before. The first top of my inbox, Terry, says, Manny Botwe is my son's head teacher, James. He's an inspiration and he's the reason why we sent our son to Titherington. Thank you, Terry. It's good to know. You're lucky, because this man seems to me to have his head screwed on tighter than almost anybody in the current administration running the United States of America. So, how are we going to do it? How are we going to have our conversation today? I think we're old enough now to... What's the word I want? I think we're old enough now to examine some of the consequences. You remember the story I told you about the three boys on the bus watching violent and extreme pornography, one of them with relish, one of them faking relish in order to be in with his mate, who was a sort of ringleader of the trio, and one of them looking absolutely horror-struck, absolutely horrified. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't intervene. Maybe I could have done, maybe I should have done, but I will never forget that little boy's, that 12-year-old boy's face. And this was going back far enough for it to have been notable that one of them even had a smartphone. That's how quickly these wheels have turned. That's how quickly that this world has changed. Back then, so it must be 12 years ago, maybe? I told you about it at the time, and I've told you about it several times since. But the technology was in my pocket, but it was still quite rare to see it in the pocket of a schoolboy, right? That you might be able to work out where it was from then. But he could be 20 now, that lad. He could be in his early 20s now. So here's the question, and I really need you to answer this. How did it mess you up?